Well, if dodging Cupid's arrow this Valentine's Day was your goal, you won't be able to run from Uncle Sam. Back with some more helpful tax tips is Thomas Spade, certified public accountant and accounting instructor for CFC's School of Business. Good to have you back.
Great to be back as usual.
So we covered a lot of ground last week.
All in one segment, and I don't know how we did it.
I don't know how we did it, but one thing that we didn't get to was the third stimulus check.
Oh, yes.
So some people did get this.
Yes, some people did get the third stimulus check, and they got what's called a plus-up payment in some cases if their situation changed, like if they had another child, and you went back and got the stimulus that you were due for your new situation. But once again, just like in 2020, we have to consider those stimulus payments when we do the return, because it wasn't really free money from the government. What it was an advance towards a tax credit on the 2021 return.
Okay, can you explain a little bit more how that worked?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what happens is you get a tax credit that you claim on the 2021 return, but you also have to compare it to the advance payments that you actually did get. So you have to calculate what you should have gotten and then compare that to what you actually did get. Now, if you didn't get enough, then you get to take it as a credit on this year's tax return. If you got too much, don't worry. For once, good news. You get to hold on to it. Hooray.
That's
do your happy dance.
Do your happy dance indeed. That's surprising.
I know it's surprising, but it's the way they wrote the law, and honestly, I have no complaints about that one.
Okay, so with those stimulus checks, so some people, I mean, did everybody get a third stimulus check?
Most people did.
It
was $1,400 per person.
Okay.
$1,400 for your spouse if you were married filing joint. $1,400 for each kid, but it was subject to income limitations. So if your income was over certain thresholds, then you might have gotten a phased out amount. Now here's the thing. Back earlier in 2021, you got a letter from the IRS saying, this is how much stimulus that you got. Hopefully, you saved that letter, because you're going to need that number off of it saying how much stimulus you got for when you do your 2021 return. But if you lost it, not all is lost. You can actually go to irs.gov. You can sign up for an account if you haven't already. You can find the amounts of stimulus payments called economic recovery payments, which are those advance credits or advance payments towards that credit. And you can also find how much you may have gotten in advanced child tax credit payments for when you calculate your child tax credit, like we talked about last time.
Right.
But I will say this, don't guess.
No.
In fact, if you're not sure at all, I would go log on and check the amounts, because if you get it wrong, it's going to hold up the processing of your return. You're looking at 6 to 8 weeks at least before you would get back any refund that you might be due.
What if there were any mistakes made in the filing process? So what if there were any mistakes made on the IRS's part?
Well, here's the thing. The IRS has their records. You have your records. Now, if there's a discrepancy, that's when your return gets held up in processing. So if the IRS made a mistake, what you have to do is you have to go back and prove them wrong. The burden of proof is on the taxpayer to prove that the IRS is wrong. You've heard of innocent until proven guilty. Not in the case with the IRS, and the Supreme Court actually agrees with me on this one. Guilty until proven innocent.
Proven innocent, yes. We know that very well.
Yes,
I think that's how it works most of the time anyways. And then let's also recap what we did discuss about the child tax credits.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because we did cover a lot about that last week, but just for people who may not have caught it.
Okay, so the way the child tax credit now works, it went up from $2,000 per child to $3,000 per child. However, you still might actually get a smaller refund this year, because you had the $3,000 credits, but then back in July or August, you may have started receiving advance payments towards that credit as well. That was that $250 or $300 payment that you got depending on how old your child was, because the credit is actually $3,600 if your child is under age 6.
Okay.
But again, we have to factor in how much you got, compare it to how much you are eligible for, and you get to take the difference as a credit. The unfortunate part about that is that if you're eligible for a $3,000 child tax credit and you got 6 payments of $250, now you're only claiming a $1,500 credit on your tax return, which could mean that you might end up getting a lower refund as a result. And I think a lot of people are going to get stung by that because they're expecting a big refund. They forget about the monthly payments because most people, when it comes to tax, take that musical question asked by Janet Jackson in 1986, "What have you done for me lately?" They forget all about everything that's happened in the earlier months. They're looking at what are they getting back as a refund right now.
Thomas, you always know how to bring levity to the situation. I love it. And musicality to boot.
Absolutely. But again, this is kind of dull, it's kind of drab, and I just want to make sure that the viewers haven't fallen asleep.
No, they certainly haven't. Not with you on the screen.
Well, that's lovely. Thank you so
much. Thomas, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me
Always
again.
appreciate your information.
Thank you.
We're back after this.